And today's story, we begin with this. Sometimes, even for an atheist, it just takes one eye to see the truth. This is a story of an incredible miracle. Giovanni Savino was a third order Franciscan, and he was also a construction worker working on additions to Padre Pio's monastery. That is Our Lady of Grace's monastery. And Giovanni's regular routine was first thing in the morning he would attend Padre Pio's Mass. And then immediately after the Mass he would stand in the corridor awaiting Padre Pio's blessing. As Padre Pio approached him, he would kneel down and Padre Pio would place a hand on his head and say some prayers for him. This morning, however, the routine changed unexpectedly. And as Padre Pio came up, he hugged Giovanni and he had these words for Giovanni. He said, "Have courage. My prayer to the Lord is that you will be safe and that you will not die." These words, of course, were deeply disturbing to Giovanni. He was now shocked and frightened. However, for the next few days, Padre Pio did exactly the same. He had the same routine with the very same disturbing words. And Giovanni, as we have said, was a worker on the construction site. And at this point in time, they were clearing the land. There was a huge boulder in the land which had to be removed. And it seemed the only way to remove it was using explosives. The task fell to Giovanni to place the explosives under the rock. He lit the fuse, he placed them under the rock, and then he retreated to a safe distance far away. However, the dynamite failed to detonate. So now what should he do? Well, they waited, but nothing happened. It did not go off. Then finally Giovanni went to check. And as he bent over the charge, it exploded right in his face. All the bits of rock and debris went right into his face. He was so close to the explosion, in fact, that his face was burned. So in addition to being lacerated from all the rocks, his face was also burned. A lot of debris had lodged in his left eye, but his right eye was completely destroyed. It was blown out of the socket. And there was only a bit of raw flesh remaining. So of course Giovanni was rushed off to the nearest hospital in Foggia for the operation. And after the operation, the doctor told his wife that unfortunately there was nothing they could do about his right eye. It had been destroyed in the accident. This news went back to Padre Pio that Giovanni was going to be blind. And Padre Pio made this comment. He said, "This is not for certain." So perhaps Padre Pio had a premonition. Back in the hospital now, Giovanni's entire head, this is after the operation, was covered with bandages. He could not see out. And the doctor was hoping just to be able to save some vision in Giovanni's left eye. The right eye, as we heard, was completely gone. It was completely destroyed in the explosion. Giovanni, being a devout third order Franciscan, of course he prayed a lot. And he was also not ashamed to speak about his faith to the doctor. And he told the doctor, "I've been praying to Padre Pio." At one point he perceived the fragrance of what, as he described it, of fine tobacco. And he told the doctor, "I think it is Padre Pio telling me that he is with me." Well, Giovanni's doctor was a firm atheist and he just could not accept this, of course. And he attributed all of this to an overactive imagination. But Giovanni was a deeply religious man. And as we said, he was not ashamed to speak of his faith, and he continued to speak to the doctor and whoever else would listen. Now, back in San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio asked everyone to pray for Giovanni. And he put the Blessed Sacrament out. He exposed the Blessed Sacrament. And while he was praying in front of it, he was heard to pray, "Lord, I offer you one of my eyes for Giovanni, since he is the father of a family." How incredible is that? That gesture of a saint. Giovanni continued for 10 days to pray for the intercession of Padre Pio, and he continued praying his rosary. Then once again he perceived this fragrance of fine tobacco, as he described it, a heavenly, beautiful fragrance. And then he felt a slap. So now we must remember his head is still covered with bandages, but then he felt a slap on the right side of his face. In fact, it was on the right eye. So he said, "Who touched me? Who did that?" And then he had this sensation that someone was standing right next to the bed. He didn't know who it was, but then it dawned on him that it was Padre Pio. Giovanni prayed, "Please restore my sight. Either that or let me die. I do not want to live without my eyesight." The next morning, the doctor removed the bandages and was surprised to discover that Giovanni's face was now healed. The lacerations that were there and the burns were gone, and it looked like the skin had been newly restored. The doctor examined the eyes. There was only one eye, of course, remaining. Yet Giovanni said, "I can see out of my right eye." "You mean your left eye?" the doctor insisted. There was no right eye left. And Giovanni said, "No, my right eye." And a further examination revealed that actually it was true. So his left eye, which had been operated on, he was unable to see out of at this stage, and he was seeing perfectly out of his right eye. The doctor, of course, was totally astonished. He couldn't believe what the patient had been telling him, and yet he had to believe because he was seeing it himself. So he asked Giovanni, "Who is responsible for this?" "It is Padre Pio who has interceded for me," Giovanni replied. "I have prayed to him every day, and I know that he is the one who has healed me." Well, this all made such a profound impact on the doctor that he changed in an instant from an atheist to a believer. As he put it, "I have no choice but to believe. I must believe because this happened right in front of me." And when Giovanni was released from hospital, he went to thank Padre Pio. However, Padre Pio responded, "Let us thank God that you did not die." And later on, Padre Pio told him, "If only you knew what this had cost me." So the intercession of Saint Padre Pio had worked an incredible miracle.
In nome del Padre, del Figliolo e dello Spirito Santo, così sia. Sia lodato Gesù e Maria, oggi e sempre.
If you are new to our channel, then please join us on our channel. Click the subscribe button, and after that a little notification bell will pop up. If you click that bell, then you will receive notifications from YouTube of all future videos that we make. Also, it really helps us if you click the thumbs up, that is the like button. Plus, as usual, we have this very special offer. If you would like to be included in this Friday's mass prayer intentions for the protected children of Padre Pio, then all you have to do is go to the words "See More" just below here, click on them, and there will be a description exactly what to do, how to join us for this Friday's mass prayer intentions for the protected children of Padre Pio. Today's story of Padre Pio comes from the book Pray, Hope and Don't Worry, and that is by Diane Allen.